Paul, are you okay? You haven't touched your ice cream, and you barely said anything since we got here. What's going on? Simon told us all about Harrison. It'll be so much better if you talk to us.
3 years ago, around the time all the bullying started, I remember my grandparents brought me and my sister here to help me feel better. And then, seeing Harrison in the school parking lot earlier, all those memories came rushing back. It just feels like the same thing all over again.
So are you worried the cycle is just gonna repeat itself again?
That other kid standing with Harrison, the one who was staring at me as we walked away, he reminded me too much of Rufus. I think he knows what happened back then, which is why he was doing that, to intimidate me. He's probably already told Harrison that I'm here, and that I'm with you guys. I just don't want to be a target again. And if any of you are targeted, just because you're friends with me, then it'll be even worse.
Do you think we should be worried, Simon? I've seen what Harrison does to other people. I'm already having to deal with enough as it is, and the last thing I need is some egotistical prick trying to ruin my life.
I think one thing's for sure. We can't just sit around guessing what Harrison and his people might do. The mistake I made last time was ignoring the problem. So I say we need to address it before it even has a chance to become a problem.
I made a mistake last time too. I went after Rufus, stalked him, interfered with him, when I should have just left him alone. I was such an idiot back then.
I assume this isn't really something that we can go to a teacher or our parents about. At least not without Harrison trying something too. So how are we gonna go about this?
Call me crazy, but how about we go talk to that kid who was watching us? Ask him a couple questions. You know, just to make sure things are cool between us. He's not Harrison, so we have the advantage of a fresh start.
Yeah, but he's still with Harrison though. There's always the risk that we could get in trouble by talking to him. And I don't really want to be next on Harrison's hit list, if you know what I mean. Besides, if one of them saw either you or Paul, wouldn't it just remind them of what happened before?
Like I said, last time, my mistake was ignoring the threat entirely, and Paul's mistake was addressing it too strongly. So maybe it's best if we go with the third option, negotiation. And if he doesn't listen, then at least we'll know where we stand with them. We all saw how seeing Harrison again has affected you all. I personally don't want to see you live your high school years still traumatized by something that happened in 6th grade. These are supposed to be the best years of our educational career, and you have every right to enjoy them, and make the most of them. And as your friends, it's kind of our duty to make sure that you do, just like you do the same for us. So what do you think, Paul? Should we do it?
For years, I've been thinking about coming back here, and running into Harrison again. I've had nightmares about him and Rufus. I've thought over and over again, countless times, what I would do if I ever saw either of them again. But now, I just want to fix all this. Like I did with you, Simon. I know it'll be scary, but making peace with these guys is at least worth a try. I'd rather be a little uncomfortable now, than experience what I did an hour ago again.
That's very commendable, Paul. But are you sure you're up to it? I mean, you practically shut down the moment you saw them.
And it's because I shut down whenever I see them, that I want to try to work things out with them. Simon's right. I'm not gonna go through high school worried about what happened 3 years ago.
I guess it's decided then. We'll go talk to this kid tomorrow during lunch period. If we can just get even 5 minutes with him, that would be great.
I think it might be better if just you and Paul go. After all, Quincy and I really don't know as much about what happened back then, because we weren't there at the time. And besides, he'll probably find it intimidating if all 4 of us confront him. It might make him less willing to talk.
I agree. But we can be around in case anything happens though.
Yeah, okay, that's fine with me.
Me too.
So, did Julie ever tell you why she didn't say anything earlier?
Well, we talked for a little bit earlier today. She said she didn't know for sure, and that she didn't want to worry me.
I see. Well, it doesn't matter now though. There's that kid in front of the library. Well, are you ready to do this? Paul.
Yeah, I am. I'm just nervous, that's all. We don't really know what to expect.
You know, it's not too late to drop out if you want. He hasn't noticed us yet. Besides, I can handle him myself.
No, I'm still going through with this, no matter how nervous I am.
Is he wanting us to follow him into the library?
Looks like it. Well, let's do this.
Can I help either of you?
Are you with Harrison? Like, in his gang or something?
I am part of Harrison's inner circle, if that's what you mean. Name's Dominic Hollister.
Am I to assume that you know who we are?
Yes, I know who the two of you are. I'm very much aware of Paul's history with Harrison back in junior high. And I know what happened to you and Paul's friendship too. I'm glad you guys patched things up.
So if you know who we are, and you know exactly what happened, can you tell us if Harrison still has it out for me? Is he gonna start coming after me again?
Before I answer all that, I want you both to know that neither of you are to talk to me in that way again. Second, although you haven't done so yet, you're in no position to demand anything from me. Is that clear?
Fair enough. But you're still gonna talk to us, aren't you?
I'll answer any questions you two have for me, starting with Paul's. First of all, no. He's not interested in you anymore, Paul. In fact, he doesn't even know you're back. And for now at least, you'll want to keep it that way. Secondly, I personally don't have anything against you. But if Harrison ever decides he wants to come after you, there's nothing I can do about it.
What about Rufus? Isn't he supposed to be above Harrison? Where is he?
You know, it's kinda strange that your leader isn't around anymore. Rufus may have kept his distance before, but shouldn't he be in the spotlight instead of Harrison? I mean, his disappearance just doesn't make sense. Unless, of course, he's still involved behind the scenes. So, is he still involved or what?
It's a long story. Are you both sure you're willing to listen?
Yes.
Alright then, I'll tell you. I had just moved to Wilford Heights. It was around the same time you started having trouble with Harrison. And to put it simply, I used to be a bully. I was good at hurting people, making them do whatever I wanted them to do. Back then I didn't understand why, but I enjoyed it. Just having someone beg for me not to hurt them. The adrenaline. The feeling of power. It was addictive. It was enough to distract me from the fact that I had just moved halfway across the country. And you know what the best part about it was? Everyone was too focused on you, Paul, to notice what I was doing.
And then you somehow got involved with Harrison when all this was going on?
That's right. One day, I had roughed up a kid who was bigger than me. I didn't know until after the kid ran off that Harrison was nearby. He had seen the whole thing. He came right up to me and started talking. At first, I thought Rufus had finally considered me a threat. Or maybe he wanted me to beat up Paul or some other kid. But instead, he told me that I was a so-called suitable candidate for what was to come.
And what was that? More bullying?
Well, yes. We had built up a relationship of trust. I brought him some of the money I took from other students, and he granted me protection status. I would be free to do whatever I wanted, and Rufus wouldn't interfere.
So you bullied people, just because you moved to a new town? That's stupid.
I bullied, because I enjoyed the power. Being part of Harrison's inner circle made me feel like I genuinely belonged to something. But back then, I was too high on my own ego to notice.
This is all interesting, but I thought you were gonna tell us about Rufus, not your life story.
And I will. After all, he is the main focus of your question. To put it simply, once Harrison had gotten rid of Paul, everyone was suddenly more interested in him than in Rufus. But to be honest, Rufus never intervened in anything.
Hey Harrison. Good job running that Sanchez prick out of town.
Still, there was the matter of Rufus being there. He was a threat to Harrison. But those in our group saw him as not taking enough action. As much as it sucks to say it, Paul, people actually enjoyed pushing you around. And Harrison gave them the opportunity to do that. Rufus didn't.
Well then how come you didn't bully me?
Good question. Harrison would always keep me just out of your sight. But I was still there, watching from a distance. Shortly after you moved away, it was time to eliminate our old friend Rufus. Harrison had always known about Rufus's father being abusive. That was his greatest weakness. And it's why he never wanted anyone to follow him home. He knew that if anyone saw what was going on at home, they could expose it and get the police involved. And if his father were to be arrested, that meant that Rufus would be put into foster care.
Let's go.
And after that, Harrison simply told me that I was to take over Rufus's responsibilities. Beyond that, I don't know much else about Rufus. I do ask, however, that you both keep what I told you a secret. For obvious reasons.
Why should we? You're a bully. You just admitted that you made people's lives miserable. And probably still do.
Believe me, now that I've settled down and seen the results of my actions, I regret them. But what can I do? I can't leave Harrison. And I don't want my family finding out. They'd be devastated. I promise, I won't tell Harrison that you're here. And I'll keep you safe for as long as I can. But in exchange, all I ask is that you don't tell anyone else about what I've done.
Okay, that's fine with me. But if you come after me or any of my friends, or go back on your promise, I'm telling everyone.
Fair enough. In the meantime, I suggest you head over to 14 Anchor Drive. I think you'll find someone you're looking for there.
Why not just tell us who it is? Being all cryptic like that, it's pretty annoying.
I'll leave the rest for you to figure out.
So what happened with that kid? Did he do anything? Are they gonna come after us?
No, not exactly. He was actually very cooperative, and answered all of our questions. He even told us what happened to Rufus.
Rufus is the one who used to be in charge of their gang, right?
That's right.
So what happened to him?
Apparently, Harrison got rid of him. Not long after Paul left.
What about that kid you talked to? If he was with Harrison, then he must have been somewhat dangerous.
His name's Dominic. And, let's just say he has a history that he supposedly regrets. I don't think he'll be bothering us though. He said that Harrison wasn't even interested. Although, he couldn't promise that it would stay that way, since Harrison doesn't know Paul is back here yet. And, there's something else. He told us to go to this address, 14 Anchor Drive. Apparently, we'll find someone we're looking for at that address. Which, if you ask me, it can only be Rufus, since he's the one we were asking Dominic about.
It looks like that's the address of a foster care agency. I'm not sure how significant that is to Rufus though.
Actually, given what Dominic told us, it makes sense. He said that Rufus was taken from his abusive father by the authorities. Maybe he ended up there, and hasn't been adopted out yet.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. But to be honest, I feel like we're getting in too deep here. Maybe we should just talk to our parents.
That would only make the situation worse. I told my parents 3 years ago, and those guys just kept coming after me.
Then is it really worth doing anything at all? I mean, he doesn't even know you're here yet. And he has no real reason to go after you.
I tried doing nothing years ago. They still didn't leave Paul alone, even though they easily could have. Besides, there's still a chance that this Dominic guy isn't legit. He could be telling Harrison about us as we speak. They could be planning to come after us right now.
Harrison doesn't play games. Believe me, I know. Either we do something now, make our move while we have a chance, or we do nothing, and he'll come after us. Just like he came after me.
Do you really think it'll come to that? That guy's ruined so many lives on social media alone. I don't know what I would do if that ever happened to me.
And what if he sent a couple of his thugs to beat my ass or something? I don't need that right now.
I'm just worried he'd somehow find my brothers and try to do something to them.
Come on guys. The more we sit around worrying about what might happen, the more time Harrison will have to figure out that I'm here again. I know you're all concerned. I am too. But let's just think for a moment. Why would Dominic tell us where Rufus is? Maybe it's because Rufus can help us deal with Harrison. I know it's a long shot, but it could work. And it's better than just sitting here worrying. So what I suggest is that Simon and I go to this address and talk to Rufus. Try to make amends. Like I said before, I want to fix my mistakes. And patching things up with Rufus is the next logical step. Especially if he can stop Harrison.
Our mistake last time was not supporting each other. And Harrison took advantage of the fact that you were alone. So while I agree it's a long shot, I'll definitely be there for you. Just like I was there for you earlier with Dominic.
Then it's settled. We go and see Rufus tomorrow after school. Just you and me.
You thought you could duck us all day, and we wouldn't find you?
No, I didn't think that at all. Come on, man.
Did you just come on man me?
I'm sorry.
The sooner you get it through your fucking head that we run this show, the easier your life will be. Know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Remember what I said. Damn it. Why did I do that?
Dominic, did you bring me any news that's actually useful this time? talking trash about this stupid fat kid on Instagram isn't as amusing as you said it would be. Even so, it still provided me and the others with a couple good laughs.
You know what, Harrison? If you're gonna bully someone, at least have the courtesy of doing it to their face, instead of hiding behind the screen.
Don't take that tone with me. You know, recently you've been less effective than you were in the past. This could be your chance to turn things around. You're already on thin ice, after that crap you pulled defending that retarded kid.
That retarded kid, as you so eloquently put it, has cerebral palsy. It's a serious condition.
I don't give a damn what he has. I truly do not give a damn. He could have been a dying kitten for all I care. Messing with all these morons is literally the highlight of my life. It's the only reason I even bother coming to this shit school. You're really getting angry, aren't you? Well, just remember this. I can tell your parents everything, anytime I want. I can have the whole school turn on you, anytime I want. I can kick your ass, anytime I want. And you know what? With just 3 minutes of Photoshop, I can even make your sister look like a whore. Just remember who holds the power here. Or it'll cost you. Severely. Now, do you have something else I can do? Something that'll keep me even a little bit entertained during my final semester at this stump?
Yes. Do you remember that Paul Sanchez kid from back in junior high?
The midget? Of course I remember him. I thought he pissed off to Tyndale Valley. Are you saying he came back? You know what? If he is back, then I genuinely don't give a shit. He can do whatever the hell he wants, as long as he stays away from us. Although, it's probably best if we keep an eye on him. Sometimes, he can prove to be a bit more trouble than he is worth, if you know what I mean. So if any of you see him around, I want you to just observe him from a distance. Don't engage him at all. The moment he does anything that even looks suspicious, report it to me. And I'll kick that kid's ass so bad, his mom will have a heart attack.
We got this.
Good. You're dismissed, Dominic. Piss off.